What is all this?
The police have got it wrong. They're looking for one product. The Joker's tainted hundreds of chemicals at the source.
Then whole shipments of products would be poisoned and would all be dead.
No. The poison only works when the components are mixed. Hairspray won't do it alone, but hairspray mixed with lipstick and perfume will be toxic and untraceable.
How did you figure this out?
Take that to the press.
I might have some trouble with that. A lot of people think you're as dangerous as the Joker.
He's psychotic.
Some people say the same thing about you.
What people?
Well, I mean, let's face it. You're not exactly normal, are you?
It's not exactly a normal world, is it?
Why did you bring me here? Well, you could have sent that stuff to the press yourself.
You're right. There is something else you have that I want.
So busy that I'm going to have to call this season 4, episode 1. Like, we have to say, yeah, we meant to take that long of a break just between seasons. Yeah. We're supporting the writer's strike,
yes,
but
correct.
I can't wait any longer. They need to be done with it. You hear that the actors are starting to threaten to join it now, too?
Oh, I think so,
and that would stop all production of everything in Hollywood.
What's his name from Criminal Minds, Princess Bride?
Mandy Patinkin.
Yes, he braid fart, but
no.
Yeah, he's in part of the writer's strike.
Is he?
Yeah.
I don't know if he's ever written anything, or if
I'm sure a lot of them have, though.
Yeah, but a lot of them are just supporting the writers.
Well, you think about it, any of them that probably did TV show probably wrote.
And even if they're not, that's just they're just probably supporting the writers.
Yeah.
So, well, first I want to talk about The Flash a little bit. Your favorite superhero of all time.
Yep.
And you have not been to see it yet.
I won't. In the theaters.
You know, as much as you like Flash, I'm actually surprised that you were just like, I don't care. I'm going to see it anyways because I've been waiting this long to see The Flash and everything. But I don't know if it's I refuse to give them money type of thing, or what are your thoughts on that?
It's that... It's kind of two things.
Okay.
The first thing is the fact they got Ezra Miller in that role.
Yeah.
First off, because he's a known whatever. He's got legal troubles right now.
Right. There are insinuations that he is a groomer.
Yes.
That he's been grooming people
yes.
and not having appropriate relationships.
And the studio knew that. They could have done something.
Yeah.
About it. I feel like you had an actor like Grant Gustin. Grant Gustin, you can tell.
Grant Gustin.
Grant Gustin, who has played that role fantastically and is great in that role and should always play that role just because he did such a fantastic job. The showrunner screwed up on the TV show in the past couple seasons.
See, I always...
Well, I got to tell my second reason real quick.
Okay,
Grant Gustin. Yeah, Gustin not being in the role.
He's French.
Yeah. And then he probably actually, that name probably is actually French, but...
this looks like Gustin.
Yeah. They, that and the fact that James Gunn took over DC.
Yeah.
And it basically just said, "Oh, we're gonna let the Flash get by."
Wait a minute, you're telling me you're not a James Gunn fan?
No,
that doesn't make any sense.
Only in really Guardians. That's probably about it. But here's the problem: he was another person that was accused of some of these things.
Like Grant Gustin?
No.
Who?
James Gunn.
James Gunn, yeah. That was a while ago because he had made certain comments on Twitter.
Yeah.
Whether he was joking or not,
it is what it is. Here's the thing. You can't cancel one thing and not cancel another thing just because 90% of the time they're saying they're spouting off the same nonsense that you're spouting off.
Right.
But then that one little 1%, 2% that they're not, you can't just let them get by and then let somebody else get by or not get by with the same problems and the same things.
Yeah.
It
used to be crap. It used to be nice to decide if you wanted to go watch a movie without having to worry about.
Yeah. Just to actually watch the movie to be
nasty, gross people.
Yeah, or just to watch the movie and just enjoy the movie rather than have to be told what their political affiliation or sexual affiliation is. Why should I need to know that?
People can't stay out of trouble and doing weird things that. Yeah. When we sit in there, we actually call them out on it. It's like, now look, I can't even watch this movie now because I'm just thinking of the mind that went behind it.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah. Well, I will say that I took my son, and that helped as a buffer. Kids are usually a lot more forgiving when it comes to movies.
Yeah.
And he mentioned when we got out, and I tried to keep my opinions to myself, so I didn't skew his opinion. But he was just kind of like, well, that was fun. He goes, man, that CGI was terrible. Yeah. And he had a lot of questions. He's like, I didn't really understand some of the story. Yeah. So I think you sacrificed certain things, like it played to. They tried to play to the Snyder fans by having the conclusion be like General Zod and doing all this. So they tried to take what they wanted to from the Snyderverse, but then it leaves it the way it ends. It's kind of just a big middle finger to the Snyderverse, in my opinion. This movie stars Michael Keaton as Batman Bruce Wayne. This also stars Jack Nicholson as Joker, or Jack Napier. It stars Kim Basinger as Vicki Vale. Do you say Kim Basinger or Kim Basinger?
I just say Vicki Vale.
Vicki Vale. Vicki Vale.
Stop the presses. Who is that? Vicki Vale. Vicki Vale. Vicki Vale. Vicki Vale. Vicki Vale.
I hope I'm not interrupting.
No, not at all. It's from Batman.
Because that makes it better.
Kim Basinger as Vicki Vale, Robert Wool as Alexander Knox, Pat Hingle as Commissioner Gordon. He's a G through all four movies and all different iterations of the 90s Batman, as well as Michael Goff, who plays Alfred. This also stars Billy D. Williams as Harvey Dent, Jack Palance as Grissom, and many others that I don't think we need to really get into.
Yeah.
I will say Tracy Walter as Bob the Goon. He was the best goon, and I just remember him so much from my childhood. He's the long-haired right-hand man of the Joker.
Yeah.
And he was also in the flashback. You can tell that that's supposed to be him in the flashback.
Yes.
So.
Hey, where's Zeke the plumber from? What is that from?
Zeke the plumber?
Yeah, he wears a mask. Some kind of serial killer, I think.
Zeke the plumber.
I was seeing something on, there was like retro 80s things, and they're like, if you know this person, I'm like, where is it? I swear it's from like a Silence of the Lambs or something like that.
Oh, it's from Salute Your Shorts. It's from Salute Your Shorts. Oh, that's right. And the one dude, the camp counselor dude, is the one who dressed up as him, remember?
Yeah.
And made it real creepy. Remember the dude that likes salami? I do remember that now that you said that. That is very traumatic. Now I'm like, I buried that, I feel. Yeah. Because I feel it coming up right now, and I'm getting a little PTSD.
I saw it on Facebook, and I was like, wait a minute, where do I know that from? I'm trying to put my, should have just thought Salute Your Shorts.
Well, welcome to season 4.
Yeah.
We've had a lot of stuff that we've had to get done and everything. I can't find my thingy thing. There it is. Yeah, we've been busy with a lot of stuff. You've been busy with Little League and different things like that. Yep. So we decided to just call it a break for season 3. Season 3. We are slowly approaching our 100th episode.
That's crazy.
Yeah. A lot of people thought we fell off.
But we back. We back.
So Batman 1989. There was a lot that led up to this. Before this happened, Batman was Adam West. That's how everybody knew Batman.
And it was more jokey than it was any type of seriousness at it, darkness, none of it. It was not there. Even the Joker had morals. Where nowhere in the comic books does Joker have any sort of morals. He's moralless, and we can go down that rabbit hole because it's part of what we're talking about right now. Because the differences in the Jokers, but like I said, with that Batman,
it was cheesy.
It was cheesy. It was cheesy. The Joker was hilarious. I mean, it could be like you could imagine the Joker at the end of the day getting with Batman and drinking a beer in that particular universe.
Yeah, I even talked about here in this movie, the cheese is okay because you got the cheesy colors and the Joker stuff and everything and the little flower, but it's backlit by like him being truly horrific and violent and straight up using his flower to melt Alicia's face and making her mind just crack and wanting to do the same to Vicky.
I mean, and it's almost like a precursor where somebody was looking at her and saying, that's Harley Quinn.
Yeah.
That's the early start of Harley Quinn. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That would make some sense.
Exactly. And a lot of Batman rogue galleries, it could be like they can get cheesy. They can get a little absurd and outlandish, but the way to make them work is to have the true gritty darkness and horror, violence and stuff behind that instead of being a Batman and Robin or an Adam West where it focuses on the cheese and it's just silly. It's like you can have, there's a lot in the comics, even, Riddler, Joker, Killer Croc, all these silly looking.
Clayface.
Exactly.
I mean, come on.
So
it's not even called Clayman, it's Clayface.
Exactly.
It's like what?
So you get all this, and it could be real bad, like you said, when you execute it like Batman and Robin, Adam West, even the little parts of Batman Forever, although I'm a Batman Forever apologist. Yeah. Because I love that movie.
Clayface, you know why they called him Clayface? Because he was an actor, and he was known for his face.
Oh, I did not know that. Yeah. We have Clayface and Two-Face. They're getting real hard on those names. So this came out. That's all of the public's perception.
Yeah.
We had Superman 1978. That was really the only thing that was going around. But there was no superhero stuff. Following this, then you'd have things like the Phantasm or the Phantom. Blade, a bunch of other different superhero movies that would come out.
Yeah.
But before this, it was just Superman. It was like, okay, well, how are we going to do this? This is real cheesy and everything. Well, in 1986, as they were trying to start this movie up, a guy named Frank Miller took on the Batman series and wrote a couple things like The Dark Knight Returns, and I think there's another one. I can't remember what it's called. But these were the true dark gritty Batman, like the darkest that we've ever gotten. And it's like, oh, Batman should be like this. Batman should be crazy dark while also having these morals of not killing, even though that goes down.
I mean, even Batman didn't dwell into like what Green Arrow did. You know what I mean, with the drug use and stuff like that. I mean, he wasn't
Speedy.
Yeah,
my ward is a drug addict. I remember that cover.
But that's what I'm saying. It's like he didn't even get that dark. But then once Frank Miller came around and introduced us and said,
Daredevil,
he's a bat. Bats live in caves and darkness. They don't come out during the day for the most part. They're nocturnal creatures.
His life pounding criminals' faces in. So let's give you an old Batman that's going to take on Superman.
He's not smashing criminals' faces in the middle of the day. Right. Like he's like, hey, I'm going to let all the other heroes handle the daytime stuff. I got the nighttime stuff, and it's always been that way. Like, you try to fight Batman in the day, you know how hot that suit probably gets?
You must be joking.
So right before this came out, they had a couple different people they wanted for the role. I think Richard Gere, Mel Gibson. There was a couple people that they had in mind for who they wanted to be Batman. Not the 5'9" dude from Mr. Mom and from, I can't remember. There was another movie. Is it Moonlighting? No, that's the Bruce Willis one.
Willis, yeah.
It's something like that.
But he's and here's the thing, he's known as a comedian.
Night Shift, I think is what it was called. But he's a funny guy and all that, So he'd never done anything crazy serious. Now after this, I remember Pacific Heights. Do you remember Pacific Heights? He played this weird psychopath neighbor that moves into this family's little apartment,
Multiplicity as well.
And he did real creepy at that. Multiplicity, that came a little weather. I like the clone of the clone.
Yeah. But you know what, he did such. I mean, I'm not gonna lie, that was a good movie because of what he did, and he was able to do with the different personalities. You know, I mean, that's not easy to do.
Right.
That's not easy to do to be totally different in every single character.
Yeah.
You know, the way they talk, the way they act, the way they move, the way they think. You know, every single one of them was different. That's acting. You know what I mean? That's acting is what he did. That is, you know, a definition of acting. That's one of the definitions right there.
Yeah. All those did is kind of like James McAvoy and doing all the personalities that he did
Split,
in the movie and stuff. Yeah. Now around this time, like Tim Burton was like, no, he's my guy. Yeah. They worked together in Beetlejuice. He really liked how Michael Keaton could explore all that.
Yeah.
And so he's like, I want to bring him. He's my Batman and everything. So like I said, studios were real nervous, all these different things. Same thing with the Joker. They went through a couple different people. Their first want was Jack Nicholson. But he wouldn't sign on. He was just not sure. He didn't say no, but he was like, I'm not sure. But Robin Williams wanted to do it.
Yeah.
And you know the story with that. So what happened with that?
Well, mainly he wanted it. He told him he accepted it right on the spot.
Right.
And then Jack Nicholson found out that Robin Williams accepted it.
They told Jack Nicholson.
Yeah, and they told him that, and he was so upset that they used him as bait, essentially.
Right.
And I'm quoting this from IMDb on this, but they used him as bait to get Jack Nicholson on. Therefore, you know, they were probably already planning a couple steps ahead, and they were saying, hey, if this is good, we've got some ideas for some other villains, Riddler being one of them.
Well, and they didn't even think about that then, but down the road when they're like, Riddler, obviously we need Robin Williams.
But he refused to do that, or any Warner Brothers pictures until they apologized for what they did.
Exactly. So, I mean, there was that.
And obviously, they didn't apologize for a while because... when that Riddler role came up, Jim Carrey rather than Robin Williams, so it must have took him a while
that was 94 that came out. 97 was Batman and Robin, so maybe it was like, I don't know. I can't remember.
I gotta say, dude, I love that movie. Batman and Robin, I love it. I don't care. And you know what's the thing is it's not so much because of Batman. It's because of the villains, and it's because of Robin. You know, I think he did it. I think he did a fantastic job at that.
I think he did better in Batman Forever. Yeah, I like Batman Forever. I'll never hate on Batman Forever. There's so much about it. I mean, the soundtrack alone. You had Val Kilmer, who's kind of a, and this is a Batman who sorted out his demons by the end of the movie. You know, we've never seen that. Right? In the comics, he's always dealing it for his rest of his life. Yeah. All that. By the end of Batman Forever, he's figured his stuff out, and he's basically said to the Riddler right before he killed the Riddler, he was like, I'm Batman now, not because I need to be, now because I choose to be. Yeah. So by that he had, and if you look at Batman and Robin, that Batman with George Clooney, he had no issues. His one issue was Alfred was sick. But he was fine. He was happy. He was about to get married to Elle Macpherson, all this kind of stuff. So, I mean, he had sorted out all this stuff. So that was an interesting way to go about Batman Forever. There was just,
then you look at The Flash.
Batman and Robin just went way too much towards Adam West for me.
I love it.
Right.
I love every minute of it. I love because Batman and Robin kind of brought back a little bit of that Tim Burton flair to it. With the scenes and the neon and the scenes, I felt like it did bring a little bit of because that's what I mean. We got to be real here. Tim Burton, this original Batman is the only one that it's far from his type of filming. I think it's the furthest from his type of filming. This
movie we're talking about today.
Correct. I feel like he does darkness, like Sleepy Hollow, things like that. He does darkness very well, but it's also a comedy in it.
And I don't see this as even a dark movie. I see it as a gothic movie. And Batman and Robin is probably closer to his aesthetic.
Yep.
Especially it has some Christmas stuff in it. He always always has like a Christmas juxtaposed to darkness and everything, right? With Edward Scissorhands, with Nightmare Before Christmas, with Batman and Robin, you have those dualities or whatever. I think that that Batman and Robin was his closest to his aesthetic, because when Batman and Robin came around, Tim Burton didn't want to do a sequel, but he's like, I'll do it if I have complete control. And Michael Keaton said, I'll do it if Tim Burton's directing it.
Hey, everybody, a quick cut from the episode real quick. In this part, I was obviously talking about Batman Returns. My stupid brain took me from Batman and Robin, both with a B and an R, to Batman Returns with a B and an R, or vice versa. So yes, I mean Batman Returns, not Batman and Robin.
So that's why that one went a little bit more dark. And, you know, that one has a whole thing with, like, McDonald's pulling the toy line because the movie was just too dark and all that. But I honestly thought this one is more because the movie plot has so much to do with the Joker being into, like, Art Deco, you know, being an artist, right? They said that when they were looking up at Jack Napier, Bruce Wayne found out that he had the smarts for chemistry, art, and something else. I can't remember what it was. Aptitudes for those. Yeah. And so Joker is very Art Deco, and that's what I see this movie as. It's like Art Deco mixed with gothic, and that's how
noir.
Yeah, and very much a noir type of story, just done in a very not hammy, cheesy way.
I feel, you know, because they try to separate all the Jokers, right? They have the Heath Ledger, the anarchy type Joker, you know, the let the world burn type Joker. Then you have
which a lot of people will tell you that Heath Ledger Joker, as amazing as it is, that's not Joker. That's not the Joker. You know,
no, I agree.
It's like a criminal dude that wants anarchy and everything. And
now his backstory was set up right.
Yeah,
his backstory was set up right.
Right. Nobody knew where he came from, all that kind of stuff. So he was an amazing performance, but a lot of people will say, it's not really counted as a real Joker portrayal because that's not what the Joker's about, you know?
Yeah. And then, you know, it's almost like they had to retcon his name and everything for the comic books because they went and said, let's call him, you know, let's have him being Jack Napier. And then, you know, Batman's new.
And Jack Napier was in the comics at one iteration of the Joker's past and everything.
But what I'm saying is with this, they started at the beginning with Batman's story with this film.
Okay, you wanted to jump in. Let's do it.
Oh, I slowly get that way.
No, you're fine. I just did the one thing that I did want to say was that
Go for it.
the reason that there was a little bit of, and you might be getting into this, but a little bit of the canon kind of messed up is because you were getting into Jack Napier and stuff. But that's because there was a writer strike going on at the time, and the original writers like, look, I know Batman. And I did my research. Vicki Vale coming into the Batcave, he goes, that was not part of my script. And the whole part of Jack Napier killing Thomas and Martha, that was because it's supposed to be that it's just a random guy down on his luck. You know, that's what it's supposed to be for Batman.
And that's the thing with Joker. You got different iterations of it, right? And this one is particular is the beginning. This is the beginning of Batman. That's the type of story that they're selling.
Yeah, and I wrote down here, this has to be year one because nobody but Knox believes that the Batman, like
Correct.
Nobody believes that he's around.
Even Vicki Vale comes in, but that's just because she gets curious and then actually meets him.
Exactly, and that's the thing. Another thing is that Vicki and Knox don't know who Bruce Wayne is.
No.
They don't know what he looks like because they're like, who are you? And everything.
They know the name Wayne.
Yeah, they don't know what he does because they say, what do you do for a living?
Yeah.
You know, they don't know that he runs Wayne Enterprises or whatever. So he must have been away for a while Batman training, you know, training to be Batman. You know, if we took look at Christopher Nolan's, he was with, you know, the League of Assassins or whatever. But the fact that nobody knows what he looks like shows that he's been so, like, protracted from the public eye that he's, you know, nobody knows what he looks like, nobody doesn't. So when he has these balls, this must have been like he must have only been Batmaning like, you know, for a few months.
Yeah.
Just enough to get the streets talking and the streets scared of what's
he starts out, he says, I'm not going to kill you. I just want you to tell all your friends about me.
Don't kill me, man! I'm not going to kill you. I want you to do me a favor. I want you to tell all your friends about me. What are you? I'm Batman.
They know, all they know him is the Bat. And I love the fact that...
The Bat! Come on, man.
It doesn't...
Give me a break.
Yeah, and they don't ever... That's what's great about Batman is that it doesn't matter if it's the Flash TV show. It doesn't matter if it's this or that movie, whatever. They all call him the Bat. You know, like even Superman at first calls him the Bat. They don't call him Batman.
Yeah, he says the Bat is dead.
Yeah,
bury it.
And almost in a way like they're playing along with that delusion of that, is he really a man or is he half bat or is he, you know, a man dressed up as a bat? You know what I mean? It's kind of one of those things where it's always that mystery behind him. Is he really a bat? I mean, because we're in a metaverse here where we got humans that can lift up buildings and things like that. So why couldn't you have a man person that's a bat? Like you have Man Bat and is actually a villain.
And halfway through the movie when the goons shoot him and he's down on the ground, they're like, there's no blood. They're saying that the suit looks like it's meant to look like his skin. Yeah. Like how it has abs and stuff. They think that that's his skin. They're like, oh, this is just armor. And they're like, so take his mask off. So
I'm sorry, that camera in that day and age would not have picked up what he looks like and would not have seen his face, period.
Remember,
that little split
remember
second.
she was just going like this,
I know,
like she was just avoiding it.
She probably got nothing but pictures of the trash can, and she already knew.
Maybe, but he kept looking up, and apparently it was pointed good enough where he's like, I better take this film from her.
Yeah, I don't know.
And he had to go diving for it. She put it in
and then he always seems to let, like, the women in his life know who it is, but it's like, why would you do that? If you're that smart as Batman, why would you let other people know who you are, especially women that you care about? Because that can always be used against you, just like we see in the Christopher Nolan films. You know, it's like, you know, he tries to keep his hidden secret, but his kryptonite is women, obviously.
Right.
And it's always been women. You know, he doesn't have kids. Yes, he's got Damien now, but that's from Ra's al Ghul's daughter, Talia al Ghul. You know, and they had, which I love that they did that. I love that they created a child for Batman. But for what?
Actually,
since the 2000s, he never had a kid.
Yeah,
he never had a kid for a reason.
I would have liked to have a Selena Kyle kid, but I never liked Damien.
They just got married 10 years ago in the comic books, you know.
I get that Damien's supposed to be a jackass and raised by assassins and everything. But I'm just like, he is so annoying.
He is, but it's just kind of one of those things. His weakness is not children. I mean, if his weakness was children, he wouldn't. Batman. He would not dress up a child to be Robin, right? If he give a damn about kids, he doesn't care about kids. His weakness is women. Always has been. Always will be.
Well, yeah, and that's one thing that I want to say in here. But like. It's women to a point, but really he's more focused on being Batman, even over women.
It is, but that's what I'm saying. I'm not saying that. I'm saying as his weakness.
Yeah.
His weakness is the women in his life because, hell, he falls in love and gets married to a criminal. One criminal that, like, if it was a dude, he'd beat him up. He'd beat him up and put him in jail. But the fact that it's a woman and it's Catwoman.
That's true. He would beat up a robber.
He marries her.
Yeah,
he sleeps with her. He marries her. You know, it's nothing like, you know. But you see what I'm saying? That's his weakness. That's Batman's weakness.
Well, typically, and back in the day when she was created, you know, I'm not even going to get into that.
Yeah,
it's just not even worth it.
Yeah.
So I wanted to get into like just the premise real quick, what everything started, but just a few favorites first. What's your favorite Gotham on screen?
Christopher Nolan one. It's just so clean cut, but dark at the same time.
So that's why I don't like that one.
Now, when you get into the third and the second one, the city really does start falling apart a little bit. You know, in the first one sets it off, like it would destroying the line and everything else like that. You know, smoking out the city, that kind of thing. But you get to see different stages.
You had the Narrows there, and then the city looked clean. It almost looked like Metropolis.
Yeah, you get in part 2, right? And you're like in the Dark Knight, and you're like, wow, this is like a real city. They go to Japan. They go to Gotham. It looks like it's. I mean, it's obviously New York City, or Toronto,
Chicago,
yeah, something like that.
Or I think it's either Chicago or Philadelphia or something like that.
But you see what I mean? It's kind of like one of those things where it's like it looks more realistic, and then you see Batman hanging up on the top of the building buildings, which makes it more real.
There's some iconic shots, and if that's what you go for, that's what you go for. I like the gothic feel. I like my Gotham to feel disgusting, grimy. You know, like we used to talk about how the turtle in New York was with the Ninja Turtles or whatever. I want Gotham to be just disgusting, grimy, and that's what we got in this one, and in the Robert Pattinson one, the new one that just came out, The Batman. I was like, man, this is like my favorite Gotham that I've seen in a while. But when I watched this one, Batman and Robin, or Batman Returns, is pretty good too. But you really get to, that's more about the rooftops because you're dealing with Batman and
Batman and Robin. I felt like I was in a snow globe. You know, one of those shaky snow globes.
Yeah, Batman and Robin. And Batman
not
Forever.
Batman Forever. This is part 2 of this type of series.
Oh, Batman Returns.
Batman Returns. It made me feel like I was in a snow globe.
I like that one because while I feel like this first Batman, it's more about the grimy streets and everything because you got a lot of those shots. Batman Returns is more about the rooftops because, you know, and that's a huge part of like Spider-Man and Batman is all the rooftops and, you know, fighting with Catwoman on the rooftops and everything. So while we got like the street level stuff here, in part 2 we more went on the rooftops. We went to different locations like the zoo and everything. So I just like those grimy ones. I can see the shots you're talking about, like especially after he first came as Batman, and then there's that wide shot of it kind of spinning around the building and he's kind of crouched on one thing with his cape spread around. That looks really cool. Favorite Batman is Michael Keaton. I was going to do a top 5 or whatever, but what's your favorite Batman? What's your top 2, I guess?
Michael Keaton and Ben Affleck.
I'm right there, man. Probably in that order too. Michael Keaton, Ben Affleck,
and then Christian Bale. I mean, obviously,
sure.
But I'm sorry, Ben Affleck looks more like the comic books, like the older ones, like the '90s comic book version and earlier. He looks a lot more than Christian Bale ever did. I'm sorry, but he was big and bulky, you know, especially Frank Miller's version of him. Frank Miller's version of him, the darker version of Batman, was big, bulky.
For you to be called by Superman the most dangerous man on the planet, I feel like you have to look more like Batman's or Ben Affleck's Batman.
Correct.
Than you would have to look like Val Kilmer's, George Clooney's, even Michael Keaton's Batman.
Yep.
But okay, and then do you have a favorite love interest of Batman? Mine's a straight up tie between Selena Kyle and Vicki Vale. I think Vicki Vale is absolutely amazing for a love interest, and I love Selena Kyle that was in Batman Returns.
I don't know. I like Katie Holmes, man.
So you like the Rachel. So you like that Rachel over the other Rachel, the Gyllenhaal Rachel.
Yes.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yes. The only reason, I mean, the Gyllenhaal Rachel, like, she felt like a mom to me in the role. Like that, like she was a mom actress. Nothing wrong with it, but I'm saying like Katie Holmes, you felt like even in real life she was single, and on this she was single but into Batman. This one felt like it was a mom coming in from soccer practice or from hanging out with her friends or whatever to come and film a movie.
Did you get the sense in Batman Begins while you were watching, like just inches from the right of the screen is Tom Cruise watching, making sure that nothing funny is going on?
Yeah.
I'm just kidding. We have to cut that part out.
Yeah.
So reporter Alexander Knox and photojournalist Vicki Vale, after we see an opening scene.
You didn't ask me what Joker I thought was best.
Okay, what Joker do you think is the best?
Jack Nicholson, obviously, and then with a.
After watching this, I'd say Jack Nicholson. I'd want to say Mark Hamill, but Mark Hamill.
I mean, if I didn't know we were doing that,
but I mean, yeah, Jack Nicholson. I've always said like Heath Ledger, but he's a really good criminal, really good character in that. But if I'm talking, this is Joker from the comics, he's not Joker from the comics. So,
and I felt like that Joker, like Heath Ledger's Joker, wasn't. He seemed to be acting crazy.
Yeah, Jack Nicholson was the closest to the comics that I think we've.
That's what I'm saying, because Jack Nicholson was a gangster,
and he was a homicidal. Person.
Even Jared Leto's was I think was crazier than Heath Ledger's character. Now Heath Ledger did a phenomenal part in Joker, and he was worthy of all the attributes he got.
He's the anarchist.
But I felt like he was too much of a kind of like one of those nerdy tin hat wearing fools. You know what I mean?
Wearing fools.
But like where I actually felt like he was a nutcase.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, this movie opened up, and it, we have obviously kind of a fake out. You think, oh, maybe this is Bruce Wayne's parents, but this dad is being a jackass and everything. So you don't usually see that with Bruce's parents and everything. You kind of get the sense, oh, okay. Before then, you see Batman watching the crime happen. Okay, this is present day. So
yeah, I thought that at first too. Even at watching it again, I was like, wait a minute. This flashback's not happening yet. Yeah.
Again? No, so we get a similar robbery of what happened to Bruce, although this kid's parents stay alive, and you got two muggers who they're not saved by. Usually Batman saves, but in this case he lets the mugging happen and then just beats up the criminals afterwards.
Yeah.
So after that, basically reporter Alexander Knox and photojournalist Vicki Vale, who is visiting Gotham to find out more about Batman, investigate sightings of the Batman, who is a masked vigilante doing his thing.
Yeah.
They both attend a fundraiser hosted by Bruce Wayne, who is secretly Batman, having chosen this path after witnessing a mugger murder his parents when he was a child. During this event, Wayne becomes infatuated with Vale. And I think that he's the one that invited her, because remember when she first got there, she was talking to Knox, and he's like, well, I don't have tickets to that event. And she goes, oh, here, I have them right here. Like, she came to town. It was almost like maybe Bruce had seen her pictures and seen her, and so he sent her pictures, and she goes, oh, there's stuff about this Batman anyways. Maybe I should just go to Gotham. I don't know how all that happened, or how Vicki Vale just got there that day and she already has tickets to that thing. But here's my thing about this Batman, Michael Keaton's Batman. I see him as, and I think I told you this already, but I see him as like a young 20s type of guy. I'm sure he's older or whatever, but that mentality where he's got the vengeance that's part of him, but right now he's not focused on that. Right now he's kind of just having fun as Batman's. He loves scaring Batman, because you could hear when the two muggers are talking about Batman, like, there's some noise, but he's like behind him. He has to shift his weight to make some noise to make them look up. Like, he's like standing there ready to scare them, and they're not looking, so he like makes some noise so that they'll then look up, and then he waits until then. As soon as they look up, then he goes, and he puts up his cape, just to be frightening. And he tells that one guy, instead of taking him to the police, he just throws him and jumps off the building, and somehow the police know where to find them, because I'm sure that the family called the police or whatever, but somehow the family called them. Bruce didn't like leave him in an alleyway for the police or whatever. He just beat the crap out of him and jumped off the building. When he's with Vicki and he's saving her and everything, he's like, get in the car. He's driving around, and then they get to this alley where they're running, and he asks her how much she weighs, and they go up, and then they only make it halfway, and he goes, all right, whatever you do, don't let go. And it's like almost like he's like, I'll be right back, and he drops down so we can fight these people so she can go up.
Yeah.
And so he's gonna go fight these people. It's almost like he comes in to rescue her, to show off and everything, because when he's done, he could take her home. He doesn't. He puts her in his Batmobile and he takes her to the Batcave. Yeah. She's not like passed out, anything. She knows the way to get to the Batcave now. So why does he bring her to the Batcave? And she even says, why did you bring me here? And he's like, well, you have something else that I want, and stole the film that she put in her cleavage. But why didn't he just make her pass out there on the street, take her home, take the film? Why did he have to take her back to the Batcave?
Well, he's infatuated with her.
Exactly, and he's showing off. Yeah. So I see this as a Batman that's not really, he's got the whole vengeance plan, but he's not as serious as he normally is. He's having a little bit of fun with it until he hears, have you ever danced with the devil in the pale moonlight?
Yeah.
And as soon as he heard that, he goes, what? And then he got shot. And then later on, it's him thinking about that, and then him realizing, this is the guy that killed my parents. I didn't know who it was when I was younger, but now I know. Looks like him, an older version of him or whatever. He said the exact same thing. He's like, I say it to all my prey. I just like the sound of it,
Yeah.
So I think that's when he starts to get serious about everything.
Yeah, and it was just kind of confusing, too, because, you're sitting there asking him, and well, he's saying those particular words, and I love the way that they incorporated that into the movie.
Which words?
The have you ever danced with the devil in the pale moonlight, and the fact that it made him think, oh wait, the guy that killed my parents did the same thing.
Yeah.
I love the way that they interlace that in.
Yeah, because
And it
as soon
makes
as he said that, you could see Bruce go, "What'd you say?" Like I've heard that before. What'd you say? And so, and not only that, but like when she first meet him, when we first meet Bruce, he sees her and he sees her walk away and he's got things in his hand and he's sticking a pen over here and he's putting this little drink over here that might tip over and fall. Like he's really aloof. Like he doesn't know what's going on around. Usually we see a Bruce that's more serious, more upstanding. It's an act, right?
Yeah.
He's putting on an act or whatever.
Yeah.
This is a Bruce that's really just like, whenever he tells him that Commissioner Gordon had to leave, and he's like, oh, okay. And he's like, very unexpectedly, and he's like, oh, right. He goes, okay, there's some, we need more wine. There's somebody that wants to see a menu and something. He says something else, and he's like, give Knox a grant.
Yeah.
And he walks away. Like he's like real flighty, and he's just like weird.
Yeah,
and,
why do you think
as Knox and Vicky are talking about the art, he's just like walking around, just kind of like behind them, just smiling and looking at what they're looking at, like he's just like kind of like in the clouds. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but because he's a little nuts himself.
That's what I'm saying, and that's what I wanted to get to, is that Keaton's Batman is having fun scaring people. He's immediately smitten with Vicky, and he's lost in the clouds when he's watching her, which isn't how Batman usually is. So I think Michael Keaton's Bruce.
Well, now every Batman is like that after the fact, even the ones in the comic books and
like
TV
what?
shows. Well, the Adam West, he was smart, logical, deep, when the comedy wasn't
but
there,
it went with that
what I mean?
campy style.
Yeah, but he was smart, logical. There was no, he would finish off the day with, hey, go do your studies, Robin, or Dick Grayson, go do your studies. I'm going to sit here and have my drink and listen to some music before I go to bed. Christian Bale goes home, drinks a fifth of whiskey, and then wanders probably the mansion.
No, I mean, like what we saw was Christian Bale. He, had this desire for Rachel or whatever, but he was basically 100% focused on this Batman thing, right? And then it wasn't until who was it? It was either Fox or Alfred saying, people are going to start to wonder what you do with your time. And that's it. He's like, okay, well, what do billionaires usually do? Yeah. So he put on an act while he was 100% still focused on what he was doing.
No, I wasn't talking about that. I was talking about more or less that, that everybody's like, oh, the Joker's crazy. The Joker's crazy. No. Which one's more crazier? The one that dresses like a bat and wanders the city in the dark and gets beat up and beats up people? Or is it the guy that's outly right there in your face, knows a psychopath and just murdering people like he always normally does? You know what I mean? It's like, which one's crazier?
Yeah, and that's why I like this. It's just because he's such a usually Bruce is 100% in control of all his facilities. He knows what he's doing. Even if he's just playing along with certain things. This Bruce, he's just like having fun almost, and kind of he's just touched a little bit. You know what I mean? Like where he's just really weird and not taking things a lot seriously until he's reminded again of why he's doing this. Yeah. Like it's Batman. He's putting on this suit. He has tons of money. He made this Batmobile, this suit. He's having fun beating up this crime. It's almost like, he had that growing up. I have to get vengeance. And so he started coming up with this idea of the Batman and all this. And he's getting it ready. And as he's getting it ready, he's forgetting more about what brought him there. And he's kind of having more fun with it. And now there's this girl and he's like, oh, I'm going to impress her. And, he's putting in a lot of personal time with her too, and doing all this, and then suddenly, have you ever danced with the devil in the pale moonlight? He snapped back to, what did I start doing this for?
And I know what you're getting at with that, and I understand that, I just think that's
just how I see it.
Yeah, I mean, that's he did have a change halfway through, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But also, you could tell at the beginning he was basically kind of searching he was cared more about people knowing who he was, you know what I mean? And scaring the villains. Because here's the thing, he could have stopped that crime.
Which one? The one at the very beginning?
He watched it. Right? He watched the whole thing.
Now, he could have come like at the tail end of it or whatever. But, Batman finds a way to like descend, come in, kick butt, and then go off, leaving the crooks knocked out, the helpless people here for when the cops come.
Yeah.
But the helpless people were down here. The crooks were on the top of a building. So how do the cops put two and two to find these people or whatever?
That's what I'm saying. He should have stopped the crime right there.
Exactly.
That would have been a lot more. I mean, granted, now what he wants to do is he doesn't want it's almost like he doesn't want the city to feel safer. He just wants the criminals to feel more scared.
He's creating the mythology of the Batman. He wants to be scary, so he can't come down in the light. He wants to control where he's seen at, how he comes down, how he sneaks up on people, how he fights. When people shoot him with a gun and it doesn't do anything and he falls down and acts like he's dead for a few seconds and then raises back up again.
Well, he just doesn't want people to think, oh, there's Batman. Batman saved us. No, he wants to hear, oh, the criminals, oh, we're so scared of Batman, we're not going to commit any crimes.
Yeah,
that's
we don't
what
want
he
any
wants
good,
to do.
nice, thanks, Batman type thing. We want this guy is scary.
Where the Adam West Batman is the one that wants the kids to idolize him and look at him and say,
and Batman
good
and
job,
Robin.
Batman.
He's there to be a
Robin. I want to be Robin one day kind of thing. Not where, and the criminals be like, this guy's a joke. You know what I'm saying? So
and by the end of it, he's a hero.
Yeah.
He saves the day. He works with the police and says, here's a letter from me. Here's a bat signal, blah, 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 blah. So, because remember, he could have done that to begin with, but he wasn't working with the police at all. Well, he was just having fun.
The ultimate sacrifice was done by Christian Bale's Batman in the sense that instead of making Harvey Dent look like a villain, he made Harvey Dent look like a hero and himself the villain.
Right. And
that's the ultimate sacrifice that he did.
Knight.
Yes, that's the ultimate sacrifice he did as Batman.
Right. I really like Eckhart, the police guy. It reminded me of the dude in Gotham who was Gordon's partner. Who was Gordon's partner? Bullock, something like that. I think it was something Bullock or something like that. But that Eckhart guy that was working for Grissom and everything, I thought he was really good. He's got the real deep, gravelly voice and everything.
You know what's funny is he's in the animated series. You know that, right? That character's in the animated series.
Yeah. Well, and that's the Bullock guy that I think is in Gotham. But I think this guy is Grissom. He's probably based on that. Yeah. Or that character, whatever it is. But yeah, and then he ends up dying. But that's Porkins from Star Wars and everything. And I think he was on. We talked about that in Indiana Jones, Indiana Jones episode. He was one of the government guys there. But I just like his character. He's just so like gritty, and you could like, okay, this is definitely a bent cop and everything. So I like that character. And the Joker in Surgery, okay? So like when he drops the Joker into the vat and everything, I think at that point he still hadn't lost his mind yet. Now, they said that, what I liked about this is they said that Jack Napier always had, because, Bruce looked at his background, psychiatry, all that. Yeah. He always had like these homicidal psychotic tendencies where he would just fly off the handle. Like, we saw him as the gangster, cool, laid back and everything. But one of the reasons Grissom didn't like him, besides the fact that he was sleeping with his girl, was that he went a little far sometimes. And that's what you saw with Thomas and Martha Wayne. Whenever he killed them, he didn't have to do that. They could have just robbed him. Yeah. But they shot, and he almost shot the kid too. Yeah. And it wasn't until it's like, let's go, Jack. He's like, see you around, kid. And so he's always had these psychotic tendencies, but I don't think he had broken yet. I think that turned his skin white. Obviously, he got the bullet ricocheted and it hit him in the mouth. And that's why they had to do the surgery that caused him to have that smile. And as soon as he saw that image mixed with what the chemicals did to his skin and his hair, he just broke. He lost it. His mind went into the abyss.
Well, you got to think about it this way. The reason why is because you look at him beforehand, right? He's always nicely cut dressed. Right.
And they all black and white suits, all the bad guys in there. He's the only splash of color. He's the purple suit.
And so he always looks fashionably good. He's probably an attractive man that could probably pick up somebody like Kim Basinger, if he wasn't a psychopath, but he could pick up somebody like that. You know what I'm saying? And I feel like him seeing he cared about his image. He obviously, because he loved art. Yeah. Right. So he cared about his image. He cared about art. In a sense,
but like gruesome art. That's what he liked. Right. The only thing that they saved at the museum is that real dark piece.
Yeah, most people that are artists respect like pretty much all kinds of art, unless it's like real dark and weird,
Or in his case, real bright and happy. He didn't like any of that.
Yeah, but I kind of feel like that encouraged a lot of his break too. You know that he looks
because he didn't like any of her pictures until he saw the dead bodies, and he's like, "Oh, now this is good."
Yeah.
That's his psychotic tendency he's always had in him that he's kind of kept down. And I think what it was is he's always had those tendencies, but seeing that and have his mind break when he saw his appearance, not only what the surgeon had did to his mouth for that smile, but his skin, his hair color, and everything. I think at that point, it's just like the little screen that would hold that stuff down, those tendencies and everything. It was just let go. Yeah. Now I'm just laughing and all that. So I think that Joker and that surgery, how they had it all set up and everything, you could just see it playing out in like a graphic novel and everything. Yeah. It's just awesome. It's just legit terrifying.
Right.
Like whenever he's walking towards Grissom and he's in the dark.
That you, Sugar Bumps? Who the hell are you?
It's me, Sugar Bumps.
Oh, thank God you're alive. I heard you'd been
Fried? Is that what you heard? You set me up over a woman. A woman! You must be insane. Don't bother.
Your life won't be worth spit!
I've been dead once already. It's very liberating. You should think of it as therapy.
Jack, listen. Maybe we can cut a deal.
Jack is dead, my friend. You can call me Joker.
Is so good, and he just gets closer and closer, but it's still in the dark. And I showed the boys and stuff, and they were just like really creeped out by how well that was shot.
Well, that's just like
having that white face in the dark.
And in a way, we've been shown that Batman's weakness, and I like to look at their strengths and their weaknesses, right? Like Batman's strength is justice comes before everything, in a way. You know what I mean? Even if, but his weakness is women. But one doesn't trump the other. The women don't trump the justice. Meaning that if they had a woman captive, say, but it was the difference between killing one woman and an entire city, Batman would choose the city. You know?
Well, yeah.
We've been proven that Superman might not.
Now, you say that, but when there was stuff going down, he went for Rachel and not Harvey. He ended up, because the Joker lied to him, he ended up getting to Harvey and he lost Rachel. But, you know, and that's the problem with Batman, is he trusts or just lets the Joker get away with entirely too much. But, you know, he did go after the girl before he went after Harvey, who was the one that was supposed to save the city.
Well, true. But it wasn't a difference between, it was Harvey's life and her life.
Yeah.
That's the
and
difference.
That could have just been that Batman.
Yeah, if it was the difference between a whole bunch of people and one girl's life, he would choose a whole bunch of people, I feel. Now, Joker's, in a way, is kind of the same thing, but his obsession goes into being Batman. Batman's his obsession, you know?
Yeah, it took a while for
He is trying to make Batman, to break Batman's morals. He's always done that. That's his obsession. It's not even so much, you know, he knows he can do crime. He knows he can murder people. There is a method to Joker's madness. People say there isn't. There is a method to Joker's madness. He wants to break Batman. He's always wanted to break Batman.
Yeah.
That's his obsession. That's his weakness. He could have killed Batman 1,000 times over in the comic books, movies, series, things like that. And he does somewhat try, but I don't feel like if he really wanted to kill Batman, he could. Just like Batman, if he really wanted to kill Joker, which, as we're proven by Superman, that maybe, and by Michael Keaton's Batman in the Flash movie, we're proven that if you do kill Joker, the world is better off.
Yeah,
it is a proven fact.
The whole letting the Joker stay alive has nothing to do with anybody else but Bruce. Bruce is like, I cannot do it because if I do it, I will then do that to everybody. He goes, that is just a rule for myself. He doesn't want Nightwing. He doesn't want Jason Todd. He doesn't want any of those guys to do it either. But, you know, and he tries to save them because he thinks that's what's going to happen to him. But he knows that if he does that, then that will allow him to give him permission almost to start doing it to whoever he wants. He's afraid of what his reaction will be if he were to do that.
But I think you get a fine line. Like, I don't agree with murder at all, period. But if we're talking being in a comic book terms, stuff like that, he has to know that killing Joker is the only best option.
One of those moral things. That's the reason that Superman kind of questions him about it. It's the reason
Superman killed the Joker.
There's the reason Jason Todd questioned him about it. It's the reason Wonder Woman has said, if you had only done blah, blah, blah. But that's what I like about this Joker is this Joker's not like that. The rest of the Jokers are obsessed with Batman, right? He's not obsessed with Batman.
He's just obsessed with power and control.
And his ego. Both of these guys have egos, right? Who's the bigger freak, right?
Yeah.
And like when he picks up after he kills Grissom in the newspaper, he's like,
winged freak. Terrorizes. Wait till they get a load of me.
He wants to be who everybody talks
such
about.
a good line.
He's
Such a good
I know,
line.
and he's like, boop, boop, boop.
I mean, think about it. The guy that came from One Over the Cuckoo's Nest, to doing this type of film, it probably fit him like better than OJ's glove. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, this is Jack Napier just unleashed to do all the things he ever wanted to do. He was restrained by Grissom 1 and, societal. I don't want to be the crazy person, Now he's just letting his crazy person out and everything. And so it's all about, can I make a bigger splash than Batman? I want to run this town. I want to own this town. It's not about a me versus Batman, which is usually what the Joker's about. But, and you see it, he keeps putting a boxing glove through his TV and just getting so angry that Batman keeps getting all the press. And so finally, then he turns his sights towards Batman. He's really more obsessed with Vicki, but I think he just wants to get Vicki at the point where he got Alicia. Because
total control. That's what he wants to do. That's why he attacked his boss, first and foremost, because he's saying, "Hey, my boss set me up." You know what I mean? And the head Falcone, right? Was that Falcone?
No, it was Tony. His name was Tony.
It should have been Falcone.
But Tony Falcone. I was like, this could have been Falcone. This could have been, who was the other one? Salvatore Maroni. Those are the two big gangsters in the Batman. I was like, man, they could have used that. That would have been awesome. But it was cool to also, because when I was younger, I didn't know Harvey Dent was always a huge part of the comics. It was more like I saw him in Batman Forever, and I was like, oh, this must be kind of a newer one that they're putting in the movie.
Yeah, at a younger age, you're not like, oh, that's Harvey Dent, a.k.a. Two-Face. No, that's Two-Face.
And when I was younger watching this movie, I never paid attention to the fact that Billy D. Williams was Harvey Dent. I didn't care about that stuff. I only paid attention when Batman was on the screen or whatever. So I didn't really get the whole Harvey Dent. Now you watch it now and you hear Jack Nicholson saying, Harvey Dent is looking into Axis Chemicals, which obviously is based on Ace Chemicals from the comics, but for some reason they call it Axis here. But this is a typical plot from the early age of comics, right? What's the threat, the plot? Joker poisons makeup and beauty products. Batman figures out the chemicals and foils the plan. But it's done in an epic scale, right? So, you have, that's just a basic, you'd see that in the early age of comics, right? Mm-hmm. It's like, oh no, the beauty products have been laced with chemicals. Batman needs to find out the formula and save the day and everything.
That's definitely an Adam West, West Batman type of.
Or just the Silver Age of comics when it was cheesy Batman, back in the day. But it's done in an epic Burton gothic type of scale and
now
style.
Christian Bale, it's like, we're going to blow up the city.
Yeah, exactly.
City.
Nowadays, any superhero movie, it's end of the world, end of the city type of threats, when it's not just this little sneaky thing as far as these chemicals or whatever, however silly they may be. But
that's in the comics too. These chemicals that the Joker does. I mean, he literally, technically, when Harley first came out, all she was just a circus performer. But I love
who came out?
Harley
Quinn.
Mm-hmm.
I thought she was. You mean she was a psychiatrist?
Well, she was with the original comic books. She was just she was a psychiatrist, but she was a clown performer. You know what I mean? In the original cartoon.
Yeah,
where she first came out as the Batman cartoon.
The animated series is when she was first introduced. But I thought she was Harleen Quinzel, the psychiatrist.
But what I'm talking about, where you see Margot Robbie's version of Harley Quinn where they dip her in basically the same stuff the Joker was dipped in.
Well, he pushed her down.
Right. But what I'm saying is that one I like a lot better. Because then it makes Harley being like a psychopath, and it explains why Joker looks and acts the way he does.
Yeah, I just didn't like the Suicide Squad way of doing it because it wasn't the chemicals that made the Joker snap. It was all his tendencies and the fact that he was now looking like this. It was a whole accumulation of things that just made his mind snap. But it's all really super violent. Because he's obsessed with not only being the best in the town, the biggest headlines, but also Vicki Vale, right? He basically shows her how he most likely squirted acid at Alicia's face and scarred her and appeared to have broken her mind forever. But we don't look at it as like that is horrifying because he's wearing bright, beautiful colors.
Yeah.
And we got Prince singing in the background with this poppy song, Yep. Black and white.
Tim Burton didn't like the fact that Prince was in there.
Well,
songs.
There was part of that, but it was really Danny Elfman had things against it as well. But because the colorful colors and the music is silly, so it makes it feel less violent. But you actually like whenever he goes, "Here, smell my flower," and then he squirts, and then Vicky jumps out of the way. Right? You're like, "Oh, that's what he did to Alicia," and she was just like his thing, his little side,
his boo thing
piece or whatever. Yeah. But then he just like broke her mind just by it. So yeah, that's a really good Harley Quinn type of character that they included in here before Harley Quinn was even a thing. So we talked about why would he bring her to the Batcave. We both agree that he was just showing off, right? After the museum scene. And by the way, I love the whole speech where he's like,
I was in the bath one day when I realized why I was destined for greatness. You know how concerned people are about appearances. This is attractive, that is not. Well, that is all behind me. I now do what other people only dream. I make art until someone dies. See? I am the world's first fully functioning homicidal artist.
What do you want?
My face on the $1 bill.
You must be joking.
Do I look like I'm joking?
Those lines are great. I mean, you can see that being in trailers. You must be joking as the Joker or whatever. So I love those lines. And then right before, he breaks through the window, and it's just a great scene. So he brought her to the Batcave to show off. He gave her the files and stuff, but he could have dropped those off for an apartment. He didn't need to bring her back. It was one thing when he brought Katie Holmes back to the Batcave because she was out of it. She didn't know how to get there. But like, you have a photojournalist who wants to find out who Batman is, and you're bringing her back to the Batcave. She knows where you're going right now. She could just go and redo it again.
Yeah.
And anyways, but when they're talking there, and she's like,
a lot of people think you're as dangerous as the Joker.
He's psychotic.
Some people say the same thing about you.
What people?
What people? Like it's completely like he's genuinely surprised that people think he's psychotic. Like, wait, me? What are you talking about? He doesn't understand that. Yeah, you got a few bats in the belfry, if you will. Yeah. And so I like how unaware of himself he is, as far as that goes. Another scene whenever they go into the apartment and Michael Keaton's like, nice apartment, lots of space. And then who says the exact same thing whenever he comes in?
Joker.
The Joker. He comes in. He's like, this is a nice apartment. Lots of space. He says verbatim. So that's showing the duality of these two and everything.
The yin and yang.
So I guess we should. I don't know if I actually asked you. What do you think about this new origin story, the parent death scene? When he thinks back and he's like, "Oh, it was Jack Napier." Do you have a problem with that?
No.
Do you have a problem with it not being Joe Chill?
No.
Obviously, nobody else does. You got everybody talking about Christian Bale's Batman, Ben Affleck's Batman, and you always hear the conversation go back to Michael Keaton, right? This is a Batman who killed people. Yeah. This is a Batman who didn't have Joe Chill. Mm-hmm. So obviously, it's not really just all about what's canon and what's not. It's how you present the characters.
Right.
But it never bothered me. Actually, when I was younger watching that movie, I never knew about Joe Chill. I had just assumed that, because I didn't read comics as much as you, I just assumed that okay, so the Joker killed his parents, and I assume that was the whole thing between those two, or whatever. So I never knew that wasn't a thing. Do you like the romance between him and Vicki Vale? No, not at all. Nope. Even when she's brought into the Batcave?
Nope.
Tell me if I'm crazy. But that wasn't just another night for either of us, was it? I mean, we both got to each other, didn't we? Why won't you let me in? Why?
You got in.
I've loved you since I met you. But I don't know what to think of all this. I really don't.
Look, sometimes I don't know what to think about this. It's just something I have to do.
Why?
Because nobody else can. Look, I tried to avoid all this, but I can't. This is how it is. It's not a perfect world.
It doesn't have to be a perfect world. I just gotta know, are we gonna try to love each other?
I'd like to. But he's out there right now. And I've got to go to work.
Now, how do you think she got into the
She's
Batcave?
literally telling me she loves him already. It's been
said,
like a
no,
day.
she said, I loved you the moment I met you.
Yeah, that's... No, I love the money.
The what?
I love the money that you make. That's what she really is probably thinking.
I don't know, maybe. But, you know, he, like, what did Knox say? He's like, he's such a... what did he say? He's such a something, a rich something, but Vale, you can find so much better. I don't know. I like when she came into the Batcave. How do you think that happened? Were you like, what the hell, Alfred?
Yeah.
I wasn't. I saw as the scene before that when we saw her. That's when she found out what happened to his parents. That's when Knox showed her. He's like, I think your friend's a little messed up than you think he is. She's like, oh, he watched his parents murdered right in front of him, gunned down right in front of him. And then Knox says, what do you think that kind of thing does to a kid? And right then she goes, and she picks up all her stuff and she leaves. And he's like, Vale, he's like, you know, don't get personal or whatever. And that, I think at that point she realized that's what it does to a kid. Yeah. It makes him want to turn into a vigilante that goes and beats up criminals. And not just that alone, but the fact that she probably deduced Batman would have to be rich to do all the things he does. She's seen his cars, she's seen his outfit, all that, his toys, whatever. She probably said, and she's like, what does Bruce do? Remember she asked him earlier, what do you do for a living and stuff? And he's just kind of like, he doesn't really do anything for a living. Because remember, nobody knows he's part of Wayne Enterprises because he hasn't been out. So he's probably not running the company. And then there's also the whole, when she said, this house is not you. Right? You know, whenever she was looking at the mansion, she's like, he goes, well, some of it is. Some of it is very much is me. Some of it isn't. I think she realized that the Batcave was part of that, and that's who was more like him. So anyways, I think she showed up at the house and she said, I know he's Batman. Bring me to him. And so Alfred goes, okay.
I'm sorry, but when you come from a world where Superman only has to wear glasses to hide who he is, but Batman is able to get deduced that he's Batman with the simple couple things here and there.
But that's the danger Bruce takes on when he lets a woman into his life. Because think of it, Bruce keeps everybody at a stance, like at arm's length, right? What happens when he brings Dick Grayson in as his ward? He finds out that he's Batman, right? Yeah. What happens when Vicki Vale gets close to him? She finds out that he's Batman. What happens when Selena Kyle gets close to him? She finds out that he's Batman. What happens when blah, 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 Chase Meridian, you know, from Val Kilmer's, she finds out he's Batman. Anybody who gets close to him is able to, if they know Batman and Bruce Wayne, then they can put it together.
But that's the thing, like Selena Kyle, I understand. But the rest of them, no. I mean, they're not around Batman.
Vicki was around Batman a lot. And she was actually, I don't know, that she knew about Batman really before she knew about Bruce Wayne.
I just think it's a plot hole in my opinion.
It could be. It could just be that she's got that intuition, like there's something weird about this person, probably putting the voice together, what he's doing this for, and then what do you think that does to a kid? That comment, different things. I think she eventually just deduced it, told Alfred, and that's why he brought it in. So I'm trying to just take the heat off of Alfred here, so he's not like, why did you let her into the Batcave?
I think it's
because he even says in the next movie, who let Vicki Vale in the Batcave?
I mean, the ultimate plot hole is the glasses on Clark. That's the ultimate plot hole.
You say
any movie or any story is Superman's glasses.
But I'm just going to say this. Christopher Reeve did an amazing job and there's actually a moment in the movie where you can see where he takes off his glasses, he stands up straight, and he just turns into Superman. Yeah. One of it is like in those movies, Clark's hair was parted this way, Superman's hair is parted this way. So the part plus the glasses plus the fact that he's like, Lois, and he's hunched over and everything like that. Like, to us, we go, okay, that's still ridiculous. But I think Christopher Reeve did the best job of explaining how somebody could trick somebody into just, you got to be the most terrified, weak-looking person so that nobody would suspect you're this powerful person. But in the finale, Batman was looking around the city for where the Joker would be and saw spotlights in the air. And I wonder if that's where he got the idea for the bat signal. Because remember, he didn't have it before. Remember, he wasn't planning on working with the police. He didn't give him a signal. By the end, he had that. But remember, he came into Gotham. He was looking around, and then he flew straight to where the spotlights were. And I'm like, I wonder if he was like, "Hey, that's a good way to signal me or whatever." And there was a couple different times the spotlights were used, like
because Adam West used the bat phone.
Yeah, and that's what I told the boys. I was like, they didn't have the bat signal in the old show. They had the phone straight to the commissioner and everything.
Yep.
Okay, when Batman is shooting at the Joker at the parade, right? This was obviously ripped off in The Dark Knight, right? Whenever he's like, hit me, I want you to do it, I want you to hit me. And he's like, and he like shoots, but he misses, and then he curves and he crashes, just like happens in this movie. And he misses the Joker somehow.
But the Joker can hit him with a really long pistol.
So how did Batman miss? We saw him target, right? The missiles destroyed the floats, and then we saw the thing go beep, 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 and he shot, and it's just like shot up the street all around him, everything but the Joker. How did he miss? Or do you think that was part of him going, like, just pulled away at the last second because he didn't want to kill the guy?
Possibly, because he doesn't, even when he has killed people, it wasn't with guns. It wasn't with...
That's what I'm saying. I mean, this Batman uses guns, it uses bullets and everything, but I'm just wondering why he missed, or if maybe he missed on purpose, pulled away at the last second because he didn't want to murder.
Probably.
I don't know. That's just a question I had.
Batman and not only that, Batman doesn't kill or hurt people with guns.
Yeah. I do love how Batman is so hurt and exhausted that he's stumbling around at the end, struggling to find the energy to keep going. Remember when he stumbled into the benches and they all tipped over and everything? I like that. You don't see Batman. Like, he just had a plane crash. He just survived a plane crash. Yeah. So, he's, stumbling around, and this is still year one Batman. Yeah. So he's like, shit, that hurt. Just he's out of it a little bit. And that's another thing I want to say is that for the first time, Batman had his butt kicked by a regular old henchman. Though he did just survive a plane crash. So I was giving props to that one last dude that he was fighting, the one that he grabbed with his ankles and threw down the thing or whatever. He kicked Batman's butt in that movie. Yeah. Like we've never seen Batman get his butt kicked, but he just survived that plane crash.
He's not used to getting his butt kicked as much as he... in a way, he probably got his butt kicked more in this movie than most of the other movies he ever did. I mean, fighting Bane, okay, I get that, but I mean, fighting regular day-to-day criminals, this is the movie that he got his ass kicked. I mean...
But he just survived a plane crash.
Exactly. So. But no, what I'm saying is, all the other movies... He doesn't really get his butt kicked, because it becomes comical in the future, But
I like when he gets his butt kicked. It's like makes Batman is awesome, but he's not just gonna body every single person that he meets. Right. I mean, for the most part, he will. That's the point of Batman. Right. But I like to see every once in a while, hey, there's another guy that really knows how to fight well. You're gonna have a little challenge with this, and that was, him out of it or whatever. Yeah. But whenever he had him backing up. And he was like, I made you made me first, you killed my parents and stuff. Joker says, I was a kid when I killed your parents. Did he know that was Bruce? Because how would he know?
Unless there were reports be like, hey, we found bodies. And, I'm sure people talked about it. It's the Waynes. It's the Waynes.
How did he know Batman was Bruce Wayne?
Well, because he said you killed my parents in that alleyway.
He didn't say alley. He said, first of all, Joker says, "You idiot, you made me, remember? You dropped me in that vat of chemicals, and, it wasn't easy to get over, and believe me, I tried," or whatever. And then he punches him a few times. He's like, "You killed my parents." He's like, "I made you made me first," and everything. But all he said was, "You killed my parents." And that's all he said. So I'm assuming
that he hasn't killed a lot of parents.
Either that, or that's just the thing that he used to do back in the day.
But if we're going to give the leeway for all these people that have been hanging out with Batman and figure out Bruce Wayne is Batman,
that's what I'm saying.
He probably
Joker
has
figure it out.
Yeah, I'm sure he did. I'm sure if Vicki Vale or any of these other people can figure it out, I'm sure the Joker could. He's a smart guy too. And the fact that he said, "I killed my parents," how many parents do you think he actually killed? Probably not a lot.
Could have been, but
a lot of other criminals. But the most famous.
What if you kill somebody and there's not even a kid there? Like you just killed two random people or whatever,
kid, right?
So what I'm assuming is that Jack, in the last 20 years, has only done like mob hits, like major killing criminals, other rivalries or whatever.
Well, that's what I was saying.
But back when he was younger, he was ripping off, regular folk in alleyways. Yeah. Maybe that's where he got that from.
Yeah, because I mean, if you're going around killing parents, you're going to eventually get caught. More so than the criminals because. People are going to be pursuing you. So he's probably only killed like one set of parents. And it just happened to be, and he probably read in the newspaper, hey, that's Bruce Wayne's parents. That's the Waynes. There survived one kid. He saw the kid. He probably put two and two together right off the bat.
Either that or he just look, I assume it's one of the parents that I killed when I was younger. So I was a kid when I killed your parents because I haven't killed any people and I don't know. That was a weird thing. Maybe it was just a writer's flub of something, or maybe there was extra scenes that were cut or something in a script that was cut where he did find out. So you never know, because they had that scene in where Bruce was just Bruce in her apartment and he's like, "Come on, you want to get nuts? Let's get nuts." So anyways, do you have anything else you want to say about this movie? I love the finale. I love the music.
Prince. I love the Prince at it. I don't care what Tim Burton said about it. Prince my idol. So, Prince is one of my idols, mind you, but man, I can't say much about Prince. I love Prince. Everything he has ever done, I am a huge Prince fan.
What's your favorite Prince track in this movie? The museum one or the Trust at the very end?
Trust. Yeah, I like it.
Yeah, that was good.
But I mean, the fact that you put Prince in it too just made it that much more, because Prince fit in this film. I'm sorry, just like Burton fit in this film, Prince fit in the same film.
Tim Burton wanted Danny Elfman to do the music because he had done them for Pee-wee's Big Adventure and Beetlejuice, and so he brought him on. But the studio was like, "Well, we want Prince. We want you to.
We want the '80s, early '90s feel to the movie. We don't want the." Separate. I felt like they put Prince in there, and Danny Elfman recognized, hey, this is a smart move. But I think they two were able to work together in a sense. But I felt like they did that just so that you could bring Batman more to life and more to being in our real world. You know what I mean? Because you have Prince in our world. You don't have something like Beetlejuice. It could have been in a whole nother dimension. It could have had nothing to do with our world. I felt like bringing Prince into it brought it into real world.
Well, studios always want pop stars and things that are going to bring more money and everything. But I think that they first said they wanted him to come in and do the score together, which Danny Elfman was making his name as a guy that would do a conductor and do scores and everything, but Prince wasn't there, and so Danny Elfman knew that he would just be basically taking everything that Prince was scoring and just writing it down as music sheets, so he would be a glorified arranger, and he goes, "I can't do that." And so he quit. He's like, "Nope, just give it to." And so they came back to him months later and said, "Okay, we want you to score it. Prince will just do a few songs that are going to be incorporated into the deal and stuff." So and then, they did kind of the soundtrack together, but Danny Elfman got to score it by himself and everything. And so it gave it that flair. I just love that finale song. I don't think we've ever gotten a better superhero wrap-up music. Well, that was the original. The other part was dun 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 dun.
Yeah.
Dun 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 dun. Dun 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 dun. Ba, 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 ba. Yeah, that.
Yeah, that hurt.
Yeah, I was listening to it so loud in the car yesterday. But it's a great movie. What's your favorite scene?
When I want to say when he realizes that Joker is the one that killed his parents.
Oh, okay, when they're in that apartment, and then he goes back and does the flashback and everything. Yeah, it was a very serious part. My favorite is basically from when she gets to the museum to when they get to the Batcave. Yeah. So that whole set piece of them at the museum,
well filmed.
Batman coming down, then the chase, going up there, and then going back to the Batcave and stuff. I thought that was great. That was probably my favorite.
Absolutely.
And a great Batman entrance. Probably one of the best Batman entrances coming through that plate glass. So. Alrighty, well, I really enjoyed this. We got to get to Batman Returns sometime. We could probably leave it close to Christmas because I consider it kind of a Christmas movie. And so we can maybe leave it till then, or we can do it in a few weeks, whatever you think. Like I said, the air conditioning in this studio is going to be fixed here soon, so we'll be able to get in here more often.
Nice.
We got a lot of stuff planned coming up. I think Kaylee and I, she's coming into town. We're going to be doing... we need to try to finish up Harry Potter. So I think we're going to do Order of the Phoenix and Half-Blood Prince, and then probably me and you take care of the last one, or the last two, or whatever.
Okay.
But some fun things planned for season 4, so we appreciate you guys coming back and spending time with us. If you guys want to get a hold of us, we're on all social media at The Post Credit Podcast, except for Twitter. We're at The Post Credit. Our email address is thepostcreditpodcast@gmail.com. We have a website. It's www.thepostcreditpodcast.com, and we're on YouTube. We appreciate you guys listening, and we'll see you next time.
Wait till they get a load of me.